This woman is a liar. There's no reason to take anything she says seriously. If I'm being honest with you, I will be less delicate than you. We put up even
men are not allowed to say
even she claimed I don't know what happened to her, blah blah blah. But she claimed she contacted the Attorney General's office in South Carolina. The Attorney General, by the way, who she plans to run against in a gubernatorial primary, so very convenient to target him in particular. And she said, "Oh, I contacted them, and they did absolutely nothing." Well, the Attorney General came out and said that her claims were, quote, categorically false. Mace either does not understand or is purposefully mischaracterizing the role of Attorney General. Because, guys, think about it. If you're a victim of anything, do you call the Attorney General? No, you call law enforcement. What are we talking about here?
Krystal Ball and Saagar Enjeti of Breaking Point broke down this story about Nancy Mace, one of the most performative, one of the most loathsome people in all of Congress, and that's saying a lot, apparently promoted a fake abuse hotline. So we're going to take a look at clips from Breaking Points. I'm going to share my opinions on this as well. Let's check it out together.
Let's turn now to Congresswoman Nancy Mace, who in the recent months has really taken the podium and a platform to try and bring attention to violence against women. However, there have been a lot of questions about some previous assault allegations and others that she had made previously. She did, however, take to the floor of the House of Representatives to describe some genuinely horrific things that she says happened to her, but it's also led to some questionable behavior in terms of what she's asking people to do as a result of that. So we wanted to take a second to get into some of it. Let's take a listen to what she had to say.
When I uncovered evidence of rape and the illegal filming of women and sex trafficking, I didn't just see victims. I saw a system that failed to protect them. I saw criminals who thought they could get away with it because no one had the guts. No one had the courage, no one had the bravery to hold them accountable because we are filled with cowards. I will burn this system to the ground if I have to.
So she gave a 53-minute speech, detailed some horrific things she alleged happened to her involving her ex-fiance and others. But one of the things that you probably saw there, if you are watching, is actually the, quote, victims hotline. However, immediately afterward, there were some questions here about that actual hotline. Let's put this up there on the screen. Apparently, the actual advocates in South Carolina are telling people not to use the hotline because they're saying that it's one that goes to an unanswered mailbox, and they say, quote, no one picks up. That's not a hotline. It's actually an answering machine. And look, we're obviously trying to discuss this delicately, but it gets to some behavior from Nancy Mace where previously she had claimed, She had claimed that somebody, an activist, had assaulted her, and she was wearing a sling in the House of Representatives. But in general, I've been fascinated to watch it here in Washington because she is one who is both occasionally like a MAGA star, but increasingly also is being called for, by her own staff who are alleging, that she had lied about previous incidents. So the whole thing is incredibly bizarre.
Yeah. This woman is a liar. There's no reason to take anything she says seriously. If I'm being honest with you, I will be less delicate than you. We put up even...
Men are not allowed to say
So even she claimed, I don't know what happened to her, blah, blah, blah. But she claimed she contacted the Attorney General's office in South Carolina. The Attorney General, by the way, who she plans to run against in a gubernatorial primary, so very convenient to target him in particular. And she said, oh, I contacted them, and they did absolutely nothing. Well, the Attorney General came out and said that her claims were, quote, categorically false. Mace either does not understand or is purposefully mischaracterizing the role of Attorney General. Because, guys, think about it. If you're a victim of anything, do you call the Attorney General? No, you call law enforcement. What are we talking about here? And not to mention, this Attorney General goes on to say, we were at a bunch of events together. She literally has my personal cell phone. She's never raised any of this with me. So that's number one. But more concretely on the victim hotline thing. So she puts up this hotline, trying to position herself as this great defender of women, blah, blah, blah. It's a voicemail box. So if you are someone who is a genuine survivor, if you went through and you are looking for someone to talk to and some resources to cope with this horrific traumatic event, and you take Nancy Mace at her word that this hotline is set up for you, you're going to call and you're going to get nothing. You're going to get a voicemail box that, according to the report here, doesn't even return the calls whatsoever, as opposed to directing someone to, their actual rape crisis and other survivor hotlines that are set up that genuinely have research, that have people who are trained, who go through extensive training, including one run by the state and the Attorney General's office of the guy that she's smearing at this point. So, it's just, I don't even know what to say. It's just utterly preposterous. And
Krystal Ball's correct with what she's saying here. And, if something actually happened to Nancy Mace, if she was actually assaulted or abused or whatever she's claiming by an ex-fiance, that's terrible. And there are people saying that they think maybe that Nancy Mace is legitimately mentally ill, that she has real, actual mental problems. And if she does, I hope she's able to get help for that. But she is doing all these performative things. And like Krystal Ball is saying here, she's a known liar. And she's a provocateur. She's, she does these provocative things just to get attention and to get on TV. The thing back during the summer where she wouldn't pronounce Michelle Obama's name correctly, and she was using trans slurs, I guess, on the floor of Congress, and they kept telling her not to do it. And she said, I'll do it anyway. I could say whatever I want. It was the same thing with, did I say Michelle Obama? I meant Kamala Harris. When she was mispronouncing Kamala Harris's name, she said, I can say it however I want to. So, this is the person that she is. If it were someone else who wasn't disingenuous and loathsome like Nancy Mace, then maybe you would say, hey, she's legitimately trying to do something to help people and she made a mistake trying to set up this hotline or whatever. But I don't really understand what she would have to gain by making up a hotline and then it just is her own number to a voicemail. What is she going to gain from that? Did she not think that people would figure this out? Or this is something that she can use just, I guess, knowing that MAGA is never going to question this and she could just say, hey, I tried to do this good thing and the evil liberals and the left attacked me for it. I don't really understand what the end game would be here.
And we have actually the image of her in this link. This was also total and complete bullshit. Like, you should not, in fact, believe all women, and you definitely should not believe this woman. She claimed that she was injured by some activist who assaulted her. Oh my God, this was so horrible. The people who saw it were like, they shook her hand. That's it. That's what happened. So she wore this sling very performatively around the Capitol and was, aggrieved and a victim of this horrific assault. This is Nancy Smollett for you right there.
All right. Well, I'm glad you were as aggressive. I'm not allowed to do that, I think, in terms of the way that.
Sure he can. I don't think that a man would be not allowed to say that she's a liar and a pretend victim if that's the truth.
I definitely agree. I'll just put it there. Shall I?
So he knows that she's correct. Saagar does. Just have the guts to say it. Yeah, she's a loathsome figure who does these performative stunts to just get attention and get on TV and I guess get more votes. This is the amazing thing is that people like Nancy Mace continue to get elected. Her, Lauren Boebert, Marjorie Taylor Greene, Tommy Tuberville. We had Matt Gaetz until he got kicked out.
Nancy
co-sign.
Nancy Smollett. It rings true.
It has a ring to it, doesn't it?
It's just the big red flag for me was that every person who remember when her entire staff resigned, and
yeah.
Many of them. That's where the red flag came, where they were like, don't believe a word that.
Go look at some of her former staffers. Like, you think I was unvarnished?
No, I know. Yeah, exactly. That's part of the reason we wanted to cover this. Is I was like, no one in the media is really immediately just being like, I don't know about this whole thing. Now, I have no idea whether her claims or any of that thing are true. What I do know is that South Carolina media, as you said, the Attorney General said that it didn't happen the way that she's talking about, that the hotline, the actual advocates and other people or whatever in the state are saying, hey, it's not a hotline because we actually handle real hotlines, and that she has a proven track record of, basically conjuring up injury, allegedly, for attention. And so, anyway.
So, and this I think is a good point that Saagar brings up here, is that the legacy media, as people call them, or the mainstream media, you know, all the 24-hour news channels, that they don't just call out all of this stuff as they're just lying, they're faking, this is performative, this is to just get attention. I heard somebody, I forget the name, on a show earlier today where they said they wished that every time a Republican tells a lie on TV that they would just have an air horn to just, to just go off. And that's not to say that Democrats don't lie too. There's lying with Democrats as well. But Nancy Mace, just has to be one of the worst, most disgusting people in all of Congress. And that's really saying a lot. But let me know what you think about all of this. Do you agree with Krystal Ball here? And also Saagar? This is a rare instance where I really agree that Saagar's on the right side of this as well. He didn't really have the nerve to come out and really condemn this the way Krystal Ball did, but you can see what his real views are on this. But do you agree with them? Let me know in the comments about all of this. This is a little bit of a lighter story with all of the insanity that's happening right now, and everything is Elon or Trump. I wanted to share something that was not about one or the other of them as just a little bit of a palate cleanser. Let me know what you think about that. This is Chris on Culture. I'll see you in the next video.